So, hello everyone. Great seeing all the people that came up to the webinar. We're going to have a few minutes of wait, probably 2-3 minutes. Meanwhile, we still gather all the people that signed up for this webinar. And this webinar is hosted by PeopleForce with Vicky Ulinic. And the scope of the webinar is to have a look into how HR automation can help teams win back some time. And also, we're going to look into some insights that Vicky is going to share with us, because Vicky has more than 12 years of experience in HR, and with experience in managing the whole employee life cycle. So so she will have some nice insights for all of us. And at the end, I will also jump in with a short description and a presentation of who we are and what we do. And then we'll have also a Q&A session if someone is going to have questions. If you also have questions during the presentation, please write them in chat and we will try to answer them during the presentation. And also we'll have some dedicated time at the end of it. So Vicky, I guess we could slowly get going and start the webinar.
Yes. First of all, thank you for the invitation. I'm quite excited about this topic because I find it very relevant. And I'm happy to see in the participants in the list people that I know, people from the community who are curious and who made time in their agendas to attend this webinar. It will be around like 1 hour because I know everyone has a lot of things to do. But it's nice to also have time when you pause and you learn something new, or you maybe question the status quo or see what you can do better at your job in your company. So this is the place and time. And as Alexander mentioned, this session isn't like a one-way session. When you have questions or something, please use the chat and write, ask, and we will try as best to answer your questions. And I hope you enjoy the session because it's not very theoretical, but I believe it will be useful and everyone will have their maybe aha moments or maybe some clicks that will help them. Okay, so we can start. Yes, just a small presentation for those who don't know me. I'm Vicky. I'm very passionate about everything when it comes to HR, and I've discovered my passion since 2012 when I just started, and I started community volunteer projects, and everything was regarding HR, team building, motivation, and I've noticed that this is something that I really like, and since then I was doing that. And besides that, I'm also a people partner. I really believe in the role of HR in a company and how it can become like a strategic business partner. And we will talk about this during the session because this is very important, not just to be a support function, but to be like a growth partner for the company. Besides that, I have a passion for me specifically for the employer branding. And I love to talk about that, how we can make the employee experience better, how we can build cultures that attract and people really want to work in those companies. And I also led some courses on this topic. And besides that, I also love when it comes to one of my area of expertise, also recruitment. And I cover some courses on the recruitment as well, together with other vendors. Besides that, I have let's say a side hustle, something that I've discovered in the way after COVID, that I really love sharing knowledge, sharing the behind the scene of what's happening in recruitment, in interviews, in the HR life. Because we all live in our own realities, in our own company realities, but it's really nice when we come together and we connect through, challenges, or we have the same experience, or we can learn from each other. And I started like growing a channel on TikTok and on LinkedIn, covering topics on HR, on career advice, how to negotiate salary, how to go through interviews. And after that, because as I mentioned, I love HR, I also help those who are just at the beginning for their journey in HR and how they can build a career, or if they're in the middle and they don't know like how to step up, how to grow more. So that's why I have a community that I really care. And if you're curious, like you can also follow there and we can connect. Besides that, starting with this year, I consider myself like a community builder because I really love when people come together. They are united with like they have something in common, like HR. And I've noticed that because I'm from Moldova, that we don't really have in Moldova a community of HR, or the ones that we have, they are pretty commercial. And that's why I've decided, why, if there is none, why not build your own community? So since January, I am building an HR community, People and Culture Club. And we've managed to connect a lot of people who are working in HR of different levels, and we meet together, we discuss different subjects on topics that concern us, and we learn from each other. Here the rule is not to gatekeep the information, but to share and to learn. And recently we also launched an initiative called Career Story, where we bring someone from the industry that has a lot of experience, so we can learn through him or her experience. So it's a really nice thing. And next week, by the way, very like spontaneously, we will have also an HR retreat. But this is something like with a small community. So I'm really into this and really love it. And besides this, I'm not only like what I like to do, my profession, but also I have 4 years experience in parenting. And this is something that teaches me a lot. And I became so self-aware of myself just because I have to raise a human being. So this is quite a challenge, but it's worth the experience. And most of my colleagues and friends mention that I'm pretty a curious person, and I really love everything when it comes to HR trends. I like to keep an eye of what's happening, and we'll cover that as well, like some things that are happening on the global scale, and how we can react to that and be prepared for the changes. And I'm also really interested into people analytics. And I'm thinking maybe to go deeper in this because it's really nice to always connect the data with everything that's happening in the company, like people data, and justify things that are happening with data. And I consider myself also a lifelong learner. So I want to start. So this is about me, but I also want to know you, our participants. So let's use the chat and present ourselves a bit. Like, what's your current role, location? Because I know we can have like from Moldova, Romania, and maybe if you have like a current HR struggle that you're like comfortable to share. Let's put in the chat and see like the profiles that we're having in the webinar.
Indeed, I believe most of the people are from Moldova and Romania, but we also got a lot of people from the Balkans, like Serbia, Macedonia. So this is actually also a reason why we decided to do it in English, because we wanted people from all around Central and Eastern Europe to join us into this conversation and share as much as possible with as many people as possible.
Yes. Please don't be shy. Just share like where you are and what you're currently doing, so we can know the profiles. By the way, I also I was enrolling in study course, and I was surprised to see, because everything is about community. Like we learn more, and there is a power around this. And we were also having like these classes like in Zoom, and I liked at the beginning of the classes when people were just presenting themselves, because I was curious to know like who, from where, what company, and so on. And people were also sharing their LinkedIn profile, like let's connect. Let's just connect. Let's learn from each other. You never know what the opportunities are and what you can learn. So if you're feeling like, okay, you can also share your LinkedIn, but this is really nice. Okay, nice. HRBP, HR manager, director. Hi, Victoria. Okay. I can see, by the way, the messages, Alexander. We were like struggling to know if I will be able to see them, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I can definitely.
Mm-hmm. People retention, staff turnover. Yes, we can feel you, Daniela. Okay. Hi, Anna, Alexandra, acquisition. Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay. We have the best people here.
Yeah, great to see so many responses.
Corina. I'm pleasant to see people that I know here who are curious about the topic. Ancient way of HR process. Oh, I know this is really hard. Especially if you're working like in the government. Yeah, you need to push changes it's hard. You need like very strong motivation and business. Okay, learning and development. Nice. Ah, good. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. And it's nice to get to know you. So it will be an interesting conversation. So now I want to start the session with maybe, I see one more comment. Hi, Christina. I'm happy that you made it to the webinar. Okay, so I want to start this session with maybe a story of myself around, oh, sorry, let me see, around 7 years ago, when I was working as an HR manager, or how we call it in Moldova, HR generalist, or I was having like a fancy title, senior HR coordinator. But in fact, I was covering everything. You know, when you have a person in the company, and when you know you need to do something, and there is nobody, HR will do that. So I was responsible for everything related to the employee experience life cycle, recruiting people, onboarding them, then making sure that they go for performance review, they are recognized. After that, we needed to look into learning in like materials, resources, courses, so on. And if they decide to leave, I was making sure that they have a smooth exit. And overall, it was okay, but at some point, it was overwhelming. You know, when you have to cover so many processes, but it also depends on the company's size. The bigger the company, the more you understand that you need specific people for specific processes to go smoothly. But usually the recruitment cycle wasn't always going like very smoothly. There were some things that were happening that weren't unplanned, and usually they were taken as by surprise, or it created some frustration and stress. For example, new hires who we were hiring them, they were nice, but they weren't passing the trial period. So again, we were returning back to let's recruit, let's find another one, let's find a replacement because the person didn't deliver and couldn't fit. Another unplanned thing that happened was some people were placed on PEEP. For those who don't know, PEEP is performance improvement plan. So when some people are having low performance for a while, so like for, I don't know, some quarters, some companies had this procedure of putting them on performance improvement plan. And there is an action plan that they need to follow in order for the person to get up to the speed. But most of the cases, we know that PEEPs have the results, they are resulting in exit of the person because it creates demotivation, and most of the time they lead to the exit. And it wasn't pleasant. Again, we needed to recruit another person. Other things that were happening, like again, unplanned, was high performance leaving. So we didn't have like low performance, but we were having people who were doing very good their job, but they were leaving. And this and it was very frustrating for me as an HR just to find out when they were leaving that this case could have been prevented if we could have done something in advance, some preventive actions, or if we had some processes in place, we could have prevented that. And again, you put your value like under question, like why they're leaving, like, and again, it's very hard to replace. The cost of replacing is very high because you need, again, to onboard them, train, they need like time to go to get up to the same speed as the high performance that leaves. So it's quite frustrating. And about this, of course, if you add to the table on the plate, we also, as an HR, we need to attend endless meetings. We need like to reply to different emails or Slack Teams pings, and like many employees are asking the same questions. And again, you need, because you're an HR, you need to respond, and this takes time. Takes time when you could focus on something that would bring more value. Or again, you need to report to them to the leadership, or you need to fill some paperwork, making sure that everything is compliant and so on. So we add everything to the plate, and it's quite like it's quite overwhelming, let's say so. And for the most of these cases, we were firefighting, and I'm sure in many companies people are doing this. Like just when things are happening, we are firefighting. We just react. Okay, this is happening. Let's see what we can do. But most of these cases could have been prevented if we had some processes, some strategic processes in place to take place, if they were. And I call them, those processes, I decided to call them in this way, the hidden added value processes that every HR should have, or a company should have in place in order to prevent those cases that I mentioned. And I want a bit to go by each of them. First of all is the workforce and succession planning. This is a very strategic process, and it brings value because this helps us anticipate future skills gap. And it also, if we focus on it, it helps us forecast headcount needs if the company is expanding, or is if there is a seasonality, because there are some industries where we know that there are some peak seasons when we need more people. For example, in audit, we know that in March there are some reporting and we need more people, they need to be prepared and so on. And if we know that, we can anticipate and we can prepare those people. So this is very important. And another thing here I want to include is building leadership pipeline. How many from you, how many HR people from the webinar you have in place, and you know that if a person leaves, let's say from a top position, you have someone who can replace that person. So you're not connected, or you don't depend so much on that person, because you already have the you manage to ensure the skills, the knowledge in the company. And this also offers like some stability for the company. So how many are doing that? Like you have like a very good succession planning in the company. Another, I've seen a chat, a question, but I'm not sure. Should we cover it? Or we will.
It was
skip.
yeah.
Okay. PP's performance improvement plan. Okay. Another added value process is, sorry, up. No.
Vicky, I think the question was if PEEP equals KPI.
Not necessary. Not necessary. It can be some KPIs that you need to achieve, let's say, for a 3 months, because usually the performance improvement plan can be established for 3 months. But it can also be some behaviors that you need to show, or some actions that you need to do. It's not necessarily everything to be tied to a KPI, but some things that you agreed with your manager, with the company. Usually it can be also like very formalized. So, everyone is following that. And if after 3 months nothing changed, you have at least a document that we tried, and we can separate, have separate ways without legal things or frustrations and so on. Okay, another hidden added value process is culture building and change management. I believe this is very important, especially when we have remote and hybrid work spaces now. And it's very important to drive the culture alignment, to make sure that everyone feels part of something bigger. And also because the changes are very often now. More and more companies are going through restructures, are like through acquisitions or through maybe layoffs. And that's why we as an HR need to be there and support this organizational change in order to reduce the resistance from the current employees. And also to support the leadership, their credibility, their accountability when the company is going through changes. And this is very important, and we should be there and be prepared. Another thing is the employer branding and EVP. This is happening like some companies that they see the value there and they understood that today it's not enough just to put that we are hiring, but we need to do more. We need to show our culture. And also we need to show how the company is doing like internally, because everyone is curious to know the internal life of the company, like the office, the team, potential members with whom they could work. So this is very important to focus and develop this employer branding. And by the way, employer branding is not just how we are perceived externally, but also how our internal employees are feeling. So there are some tools that should be in place, and also we need to align our employer branding with the market needs, because things are changing and we need to make sure that we keep an eye on the market so we can stay relevant and competitive. Another added value process is retention and engagement strategies. This is also important for us to understand why people are leaving, but also why people are staying, so we can emphasize more on the motivators and on the things that make people stick to the company. Also, it's important for us to create tailored retention programs, like depending on what we find out from discussions, from feedback, we can tailor programs depending on the team, like on the department team, or maybe something more specific, again, depending also on the side, and build long-term engagement initiatives. Another added value process that is missing in many companies is manager enablement and development. We as an HR, I've recently read a post saying that if people managers were doing their job very good, they were very good at their job, there would be no need for HR. And this is true, because we are there to support managers. Being a manager is quite hard because there are a lot of expectations, demands. It's not just enough to be very good at your job. You need to manage people, you need to help grow those people. And it's a lot of expectation. That's why we're there as an HR to support managers. And we need to be there to train them to handle better people issues that can appear, not just for them like to give those issues and just deal with them HR. Also, we need to coach them to give better feedback, because some feel that they are doing good, but they are not. And we know from discussions, from surveys and so on, that there is a lack. So we need to be there to coach them, to give better feedback, to recognize their members, and to also handle difficult conversations, which is part of their job, and it's not easy. Also, it's not easy for us as a HR, but it's part of the process. And also make them more accountable for people management. Like in some companies, as I mentioned, team leaders, they are leaving all this learning and development to HR, but they're also accountable for their team's growth. So they should be trained and very involved in this process as well. Another hidden added value process is future of work and skills development. And this is for us to be there and prepare our workforce for all the AI and automation. I'm not sure how many companies in Moldova or in like Romania or from where we have participants maybe did an audit or did a training on AI in their company or on some automation. And this is very important. And also we should be able, depending on the changes that are happening, to be able to redesign the jobs, the processes in such a way so they stay relevant and they bring more value. We have less things that are repetitive and more added value tasks. And also build those upskilling, reskilling frameworks that are needed for our talent to stay relevant and to bring value. And being able, once we are curious and we follow the market, we should be able to anticipate future competencies that will be needed in our company based on the reality. And we can design programs that can help our talent develop those competencies. And the last, not the last one, but one of my favorites is people analytics and insights. I know companies are doing something in this direction, but we could do more about that. We should be able to learn how to turn data into strategy, how to influence business decisions having the data, and also how to get the buy-in of the leadership when we want to suggest some people strategy, some people initiative. This is a skill that it should be developed. It's not easy, but it helps a lot. And if we master it, we can influence business decisions. And again, transform the HR from a support function to a growth strategic partner. So these are the added value processes that are missing from many companies. I'm not saying at all, but they're not so prominent like as recruitment, onboarding, like the basic one. My question is, how much time you, like in hours, in percentage per week in your current role, do you invest in these added value processes? And here I would like Yulia to help us. We have a pool and see like, just to tick, how many hours per week in your role do you invest in these strategic processes, which I called added value, like approximately. Panelists can vote. Okay. I'm not sure if we can see like as people are voting the results or not, or you should stop the poll and after that we can see the results, because I'm curious everyone who is where.
I think we will find out in a half a minute, probably, just giving people some time to vote. And then probably Yulia, which is helping us with all the technical stuff, so that the webinar goes well, will help us see the results.
Okay, let's see. Do we have, Yulia, some results, or I cannot see them. Okay. So around 70%, 0 to 5 hours per week they are dedicating to those strategic processes. Okay, which means like almost now very few time, and mostly operations are for those who voted 5 hours maximum. Those who are in the second category, there are like, they are investing something occasionally strategic, but still more operations. And usually the last ones, they're the good balance between like operations and strategy. And the last one usually are the HR leaders, directors, or consultants, like who are really focused on strategy. Of course, those depend on the company size, on the role seniority. It can differ for sure, but it's really interesting to see like how much time we really invest in those like added value processes. Thank you, Yulia, for helping with the pool. Good. So, so I made a research and I was really curious to see like, let's go inside of the daily routine of an HR manager, HR generalist, HR VP. Usually we took the basic schedule, like 40 hours per week. We don't take into account maybe some overtime that many of HR are doing. And it turned out that around 30% of our time goes to recruitment and onboarding. Around 25% of our time goes to managing employee data and administration, which means like contracts, leave, payroll, all this stuff that can appear. Employee relations around 20%. So maybe some ad hoc requests, maybe some replies, maybe some conflicts that we need to mediate, maybe some, I don't know, well-being requests and so on goes here. After that, we dedicate around 50% to meetings and reporting, which is part of our schedule, and only 10% goes to strategy and projects. Now the question is, imagine if you gain 8 hours per week, which is basically one day. What would you do? Where would you invest this time and this energy? Please write in the chat, because I'm really curious to see like where, if you would have one extra day. This is not like a Saturday, but an extra like a day instead of like, I don't know, Friday, and just for the threat for what you want. Where would you invest your energy and time? If you can write in the chat, I'm curious. I know it sounds too good to be true, but let's see. Where do you think you're struggling the most and you would like more time to invest there? Upskill and reskill. Oh, that's a good one. Especially with the future of work and all the automation, that's a very good one. Anybody? Or you will just take the day off and that's all? Continuous improvement current processes, increase efficiency, strategy and projects. Okay, nice. Strategy and project. Good. You understood where I'm aiming. Staying up to date with the industry trend. Ah, yes. Preventing things that could happen. Nice. Learn more about AI. Oh, the AI is happening way too fast than we are reacting, or we are reskilling, adjusting. So for sure. Thank you very much. That's really relevant. And I'm happy that we concluded that most of us would invest this time in the strategy and projects, this like reskilling, upskilling, future of work, efficiency, like the real added value processes. So that's nice. For sure, we need this extra time. And especially we need this extra time with all the challenges that are happening currently in the market, and with the trends that are happening in terms of the workforce. And I also want to touch a bit this topic and regarding like what else is expected from the HR in 2025. So first of all, we have the cross-border employment, which is a really nice one. I think this is nice if it's happening in the companies, because they understood that they could hire from other countries as well, taking into account the cost and so on. But it comes with some challenges, like you need to manage a global workforce. You need to ensure the culture alignment in a dispersed team, and this is not easy, and this takes time to build, with the right tools, with the right onboarding, with the right communication means that we can provide, and also ensuring that there are fair practices for all the employees from all the locations that we have. So this is a challenge, and this becomes more and more prominent, and people that are having those like recruiting and hiring, they need to be prepared. Another one, the basic one that I think this won't change, but it becomes challenging, is the talent attraction and retention, because the labor market is quite tight, and it's keeping and finding and keeping employees, skilled employees, is harder, and it's more costly. And it's very interesting that I've read again in a report for the Chief People Officers survey, saying that today the talent that we are working with is very confident, is very well informed, and very selective. And they know what they want from the company, from the job, and they are willing to walk away from a company if this doesn't serve them. So this is very important for us to understand the talent we have to deal with, and how we can respond to the market, how we can stay competitive, how we can offer career advancement, how we can recognize them. All those are very vital in order to keep the talent. because the talent is selective and they know what they want. Another one challenge is predicting people risk. If you know, there are studies showing that the employee disengagement and exhaustion is very at high rates nowadays. And this is impacting the productivity and is increasing the resignation rates. People nowadays are resigning faster than several years when the parents and so on were like staying for a lot of time. And that's why it's very important to identify the burnout, the sign of disengagement, the stress very early in the process, so we can prevent them. And there are tools, there are platforms, there are processes that we can put together, but we need time, of course, for that, to predict those people risks. Another one is, unfortunately, there are still companies where the line managers are pushing people issues onto HR, like dealing with difficult conversation, complex employee issues. We are just passing them to HR. And it's pretty hard, and there are high expectations from us. And we need to know how to deal with them, but also coach the managers to handle them and to be accountable. And another one is, although the expectations are high, in a majority of the companies, HR still doesn't have very much of authority when it comes to budgets, when it comes to going forward with some initiatives, and they are expected, like to fix retention, engagement, but not really having, this influence. That's why we need to develop this stakeholder influence, the executive influence, in order to gain, the seat at the table and to come with initiatives to have the budget and so on. Another interesting one, trend, challenge, is the digital employee experience. And this is something that I've seen more and more often being talked about. For those who don't know, this refers to how employees are reacting, interacting with different digital tools at their workplace. And there was even a study from Microsoft. If you are curious, you look for it. That shows that during the day, there are a lot of interruptions because people are supposed to work with a lot of different digital tools and they need to switch. Usually they switch between tools every 2 minutes. And this is not very good because this creates disruptions and this reduces the focus and makes the job less satisfying. And it's very important interruptions. And because if our employees have a very good and smooth digital employee experience, they have overall the employee experience will be better. And if their experience will be better, the business performance will be better because there is more efficiency and more productivity. So this is an area that we should look into and see how we can make this experience smoother for our employees and reduce the tools that they are using and make so they can switch less, and have less interruptions. And another one is the skills gap and talent readiness. And I love that there were people who mentioned that this would be a focus if they had like this extra 8 hours. And I think this is very important because the rapid tech advancements, they are there. And these are making some of the existing skills irrelevant, and we need to see, we need to always to upskill and see what's in demand, what is needed, so we can prepare our talent. So the talent, maybe one skill is not relevant, but they can develop another one who can also bring value to the company. And this is very important. And also here, I can add the internal mobility, which is missing from many companies, but it's very helpful when it comes to all these changes, because this helps the companies to adapt to the market and evolve. And of course, we shouldn't forget and we shouldn't deny the fact that we, as an HR, we also need to future-proof ourselves as professionals, because things, again, are changing and we need to know what we should do more, what we should develop as skills in order to stay relevant. And I really want to touch this topic and see for you just to be aware where you are now and what are your current skills, what it's needed or what's in demand, the in-demand skills for HR. And this is based on the World Economic Forum report. It was launched at the beginning of the year, and if you miss it, I really recommend checking it. They have like the general skills that will be in demand and the skills that are less asked, and they won't be like relevant. And we need to be sure that we do something in this direction in order to develop them and stay relevant. The one is people analytics and storytelling that I mentioned, like having the data, understanding the impact of the data, and being able to influence the leadership through storytelling, so we can influence business decisions. Another one is being aware of everything when it comes to AI and automation, and developing this leadership fluency, which is very important. The one that I already covered is workforce and succession planning is also in demand, forecasting skills, anticipating future competencies, preparing our leaders, like having this leadership pipeline is very important. Again, the change management, the one that I also mentioned that is like in a added value process. We need to be able to navigate changes, uncertainty, and also prepare our workforce, not to less resist the changes. Because resistance will be, but it really depends how they react and how much it takes for them to overcome this. Another concept that I really liked is like being the architectures of the employee experience, designing an employee experience that makes people thrive and makes people want to stay in a company for long, and having like this smooth experience and learning from each touch point is very important. And another one is business partnership and executive influence, being able to build relationships, to partner with the C-suite and make sure that we can influence and help business grow through the people, of course. Now the question is how confident you feel in any of these skills. How much time do you invest in developing those in-demand skills? I truly understand that we sometimes are caught in operations and we don't have time. But when we face unplanned, as I mentioned, unplanned situations, those skills could help us navigate better and even like prevent them, make like a smoother experience. So this is a question that remains to you, like how confident and what you're doing daily in order to develop those skills. Of course, it's hard, as I mentioned, how we can develop them if we are drowning in admin and operations and things that are happening, and we just need to do them. It's there, we need to hire that person, and so on. And the answer is in efficiency, of course, and in how we transform. And that's why I want to come with an action plan. Like, let's take our 8-hour back. And here, the first steps that we can do in order to take our 8-hour back. And I want to present you the transformation flow from my perspective. First, what we need to do is look into our company and start with an audit, like with an X-ray, and see what internal process frustrates you the most, comes with more delays and so on. And we need to identify the problem and see where the hours go. And when we look into the process, we look into the tasks, we need to look for, first of all, tasks that are very repetitive, tasks that are performed frequently and constantly, and such as like maybe data entry, report generation, scheduling, all these like things that are constantly. Another one, we need to look for error-prone tasks that implies and have the high risk of human error. For example, calculations, or maybe some manual data transfer, or even the metrics, the people analysis that I mentioned. Those can be erroneous if we are not very attentive, or if we have many sources and we are calculating them manually. Another thing is to look for time-consuming tasks. Tasks that consume a significant amount of HR time, like contracts, onboarding, performance reviews, processes that are constantly part of our year. They have the same flow, but they are consuming time. And also look for bottlenecks, processes that are creating delays in taking some major decisions. And of course, when we do this audit, we need to also look if our current processes, they are human-centered or not, because this is very important. Always having in mind the people needs, the people experience, when we design, when we make this audit. And once we did that, we do the audit. Of course, we go to the redesign. By the way, never digitalize your mess. Never run, if you see a shiny tool or platform and so on, don't hurry up in purchasing it. First, understand what you currently have, what's working, what's, again, repetitive and so on, bottlenecks, what frustrates you. And after you do some redesign of your people, after that, go for the tool that you need for your company. And here at the redesign, you need to understand how you would want to look like the employee experience look like. Also, it's very important to design with people, not for people, to be human-centered. And if you have different touch points when you can interact with people and gain insights in order to have a smoother employee experience. For example, during the recruitment, during the candidate, maybe you have candidate experience surveys, or you have new hire surveys, or maybe you have some touch points where you can connect with your employees and gain insights so you can redesign a smooth employee experience. And also when you do that, when you do the redesigning, you need again to answer 3 questions. First, again, is your process human-centered? Second, does it reduce friction? And third, does it create value? And value can be in different forms. It can be, it gives you more time, it reduces the cost, it reduces approvals, and it improves the experience. So here are the 3 questions that you should ask yourself when you do the redesign, when you do also first audit and then the redesign. And after you do that, you build a business case. It's very important to show the clear ROI of why you want to invest, for example, to build to bring a technology in your company for efficiency. And this shouldn't be presented as a cost. It should be presented as a value that it brings, more time for strategy, more time for better processes. And only after that, after you do that, and also, by the way, when you build a business case, you always need to use metrics, if we automate X, then we have, 2 hours more that we can invest in, better employee branding, visibility, and so on. You need always to show the value and behind. And of course, bring that technology. Make sure that you build an efficient ecosystem. As I mentioned with the Microsoft survey, you need to have a system that people reduces the disruptions and the switching between different tools. And if you can find one that can help you together with you, it will scale and it will grow. It shouldn't be like a rigid platform that you need people to teach them how to use them, and when you have some changes, it's very hard. You need to find a tool that can evolve with you, with your company. And the tech that you decide to choose should serve the people, not the processes, because if the processes are changing, and this is something natural, that something is changing in the recruitment, in the onboarding, the technology should be there and help you with that. And you shouldn't, just stick to a process because we have the technology and we invested the money and so on and so on. That's not the best way to do that. So if you had this time and you had the possibility, which process would you automate first from your struggles? Because I've seen in the chat that you have with retention, of course, it takes time to do all this audit and so on, but what process would you automate first? Just write in the chat. Documentation processing ID. Oh, yes, that's for sure a pain for the HR. CV screening, performance management, yes. This is something really nice because for performance management, for example, in my previous company, we were having so many sources and tools, emails, and so on. It was very dispersed, the information, and you needed to gather, and it took too much time. The process was very heavy. And people weren't seeing their growth because there wasn't, I don't know, a common space where they could see, their career growth. Data gathering and people analytics. Okay, unbiased CV screening. Yes. Documentation, for sure. Documentation is something that, as you saw, it was 20% goes to employee data and documentation. Okay, thank you. Now, because we talked about automating and we are all in the mood, or in this mood of, yes, we need to automate. There is a really nice platform that Alexandra will talk about and will touch, and you'll see it. And I see that we also have a poll to see what's the current status, I believe.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to look at the answers, and also thank you everyone who wrote down what are the things that you would like to automate. We will quickly touch on those and see approximately what a digital platform for managing the HR can do regarding those. And also, thank you, Vicky, for all the insightful ideas. And it was really like a lesson, and it was useful for me too.
I'm curious to know where people are, if someone is automating something, or let's see the result. Oh, nice. Okay. There is hope, which is good.
Well, it's nice to see that someone has already automated something, someone is exploring, someone doesn't use it at all. So I guess the discussion that is following might be interesting for all of the people that are here. All right, so I will jump in and transition to the saying a few words about PeopleForce and who we are and what we do, how the platform is structured. So PeopleForce is an international HRM platform designed to help HR managers, directors, and also the management within the company to manage the employee experience and also the employee life cycle. We currently have clients from over 25 countries as in the world, so it's quite an international company, and that can be used basically anywhere in the world. And how the platform is structured, how it works. So we have 6 different products within the platform itself. The first one is core HR module, which is the administration module, where you have the employee profile, their PTOs, automated workflows, also document management, reports, and so on. Then we have a platform for recruitment where you can create vacancies, you can manage pipelines and also candidates, interviews. We have a module for automating and managing the performance within the company where we have objectives and key results that measure them, performance reviews, 180, 360, KPIs, development plans, and one-on-one meetings. Also, then we have polls, which is a module for surveys. We have some templates that can already be used, like NPS, team performance, but also surveys can be created from scratch. Desk is also a nice module, which is a module designed for employees to request something from the HR. So it's case management, and it also helps structure the workflows within the company, because by using Desk, we can see what are the most requests we get by category, and then we can automate those requests by creating a form. So it goes from a general request to a very detailed form. And also whistleblowing or anonymous reporting is part of the desk module. And the last one is a time module that helps you track the time of the employees, how much they worked, what is their timesheet, and then you can approve or reject it. And now let's quickly go into the platform itself. I will start sharing so that we can just take a quick look at a few examples. The platform is much bigger and has a lot of functionality, but we're just gonna touch on the ones that were mentioned in the chat and also on the interesting ones. So let's just start with core HR. We're going to see everything from the point of view of the administrator, but there is different roles and permissions within the platform. You can have a role for manager, a role for all the employees, and everyone has an account. They can log in, but they are going to have access to different parts and different functionalities based on their permission within the platform. So if we jump here right to the people, we see the database with our employees. And if we open a specific employee profile, here is the employee profile with all the information we have about this employee. The employee himself will have access to his profile. So we are now logged in as Alina. We can see what she sees. She's a manager, so she has a bit more permissions, but everyone is going to get access to their profile, of course. And if we go back to the profile, what's interesting in the profile, so is a way to also automate the PTOs or time offs. Here, usually how it works, we can assign different leave policies to different employees based on their department, location, country, and so on. These leave policies are usually created based on two things. First of all is the local legislation, which is usually the holiday, maybe a sick leave policy, and there is also leave policies created based on the internal policies of a company, if you want to allow employees to work from home or at their own expense. And each policy is configured independently and has its own way of accumulating the balance, how many days are accumulated in how much time, when are they burned if they are unused, and so on. So they just request here in the system how much they want to take off. It goes for approval to the management. You can allow them to take less than a day or not allow them. So all of these small details, they are configurable when you create the policy. And then if we move forward, let's take a quick look at the documents. So document management is also an important part that many HR specialists would like to automate or have a way to manage them quicker. And how it usually works, we have this document management tab here, where you can filter all the documents by folders that you create yourself, by specific people that they are assigned to location and the signature status. And when adding a document, you can either upload it from cloud, from computer, or generate it from a template. Templates are usually useful in instances when, for example, you have the same document that's always created, and the only things you change is the employee name, today's date, manager's name, and just some details that you already can find them in the system that you are using. And in these cases, you could use templates, create the template, and in these templates use variables. Those variables are going to be in English, but it's going to get substituted with what you have in the system. So it doesn't really matter which language the variable is in, but the document itself, it can be in any language. It can be in Romanian, it can be in English, in Serbian. So it's completely up to the company how it wants to create this template that's going to get substituted with the information from the profile. Also, we have e-signatures that could be used. We have advanced e-signatures and also qualified e-signatures. It depends on the market which ones you will be using. Qualified right now is provided by Authentic. If you are familiar with it, probably you know that's you know where it is used, right? Mainly Poland and also a few other countries. But for the rest of the countries, it's advanced e-signatures that can be used to sign documents between the employee and the employer. And then if we move forward, one of the things that saves time the most also within the system is workflows. But before we get to the workflows, let's just quickly touch on the knowledge base, because knowledge base can be integrated in the workflows. and in the way like how you teach your employees, how you onboard them, and so on. So in the knowledge base, we have different categories with different articles. In these articles, we can include whatever we want: text, PDFs, videos, photos, and so on. And usually these articles are created for as training material for new employees, or just as a place to have some articles with internal policies of a company based on different areas within the company. And they can also be permission based by country, by location, by department, and so on. So let's say we have a set of articles created for a specific position within the company, and then we want to integrate them in a automated workflow that will help us train the new employee. So first of all, what are workflows? What are workflows in PeopleForce? Workflows are a way to assign, track, and monitor the completion of different processes within our department. It can be also within different departments where we're also involved, or where we just want to have a way to track it. And how they are usually triggered: we can trigger them manually, we can program them, we can set them to be recurring, or the most used case is to attribute it to a date within the system, like first day of employment, last day of employment, end of probation. So there is a bunch of dates that can trigger the workflow and activate it. And also you can create any other custom date in the platform, in the employee profile, and then trigger a workflow by that date. So if we look at the workflow just as an example, let's open the onboarding workflow. What we have in a workflow is a set of actions that will happen in the order that you create them, and will be assigned to the people that you want within the company. So this workflow is going to be triggered automatically when you create the employee profile, and then it can be also you can assign different workflows based again on location, on department, and so on, so that it's divided, since it's not the same for all the people. By the way, if you have questions on specific functionalities, please leave them in the chat, and I will try to take a look at them when I finish, and maybe we can quickly go over them as well. So in the workflow, you can have tasks. You can create tasks for new employees, for yourself as the HR, that will be assigned to you automatically. You select a deadline for all of these tasks, when it should start, and also who it affects, right? It can be the affected person, so that's the one who the workflow was triggered for. It can be his manager or any other specific person within the company. So let's say the new person joins, he receives their set of tasks that they have to complete. They complete one, the next one appears, and within the tasks, by the way, that's why I spoke about articles, you can integrate the links to the articles from the knowledge base where they have to go and read and study, and that's how, and then they mark it as completed, and that's how we know that they've done that. And also, besides tasks, there is a lot of other things, like automated generation of documents from either from a file that you uploaded before that you want to be sent for signing after they read something, for example, is going to be sent automatically, either from a template within the company. And also there is sending of emails, automated invitation to join the platform, which is also automated for the new employee. And also request feedback. So that's feedback form as a part of the employee lifecycle. If you want to request some feedback, for example, after his or her probation ends, it's going to be sent automatically based on the request that you've built before that. And yeah, so this is just one example, just one workflow, but it really can be any process you want to track and you want people to get assigned tasks. It can be recreated here, and then you can track it, because if you open workflow history, here you see all the workflows that were opened. If you go to a specific one, you see who it was assigned to, what was completed, by who it was completed, and which ones are still pending. So you always have a transparency in what's happening with new hires, with people that are leaving, if it's an offboarding workflow, and also probation feedback or probation ending. So there is a bunch of workflows you can recreate. All right. So that's about the workflows. Just quickly saying about them. Yes, Vicky, did you want to say something? No?
No, but I really like the design. It's very user friendly.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. We actually get that a lot. Yeah, it's easy for people to get to
Mhm. It's
learn the
important.
platform.
Mhm.
Yeah. Uh, and just to finish with core HR, so we are still at core HR. We didn't even touch on all of the modules, but let's just quickly finish with core HR. We also have forms, which is also a strong way to automate requests and within the company. Pre-boarding form, you're probably familiar, is a way to request data from the employees that are going to be hired. And then you can have different forms with different things that you request from them. It's going to be sent to the employee before they have an account, and they upload everything, submit everything, and then it's going to get automatically input in their profile, so you don't have to do it by hand. It's you outsource it to the employee. So that's a way to automate. Then there is people data change request. So basically managers requesting some change on behalf or for their employee. And then there is the self-service request forms themselves where employee request it for themselves. And really it's very flexible because you can build the form yourself. You select which section you want to have changed in this form, and then the employee can use this afterwards. It can be name, personal email, position, salary, teams, and so on. But if there is something that you do not find, then there is custom forms here. And custom forms is also very strong automation tool in the platform, because here you can basically recreate or track and monitor everything you would like to go through an approval process within the company. So it can be assigned of the assets. It can be file uploaded into profile, termination of employment, or basically any other process where you need to gather data and have it structured can be done through the forms. And here at request, you will have access to all the requests where you can see who requested, and just to open one for you to see how it's going to look. You see what was completed, you see who was approved. In the comments, people always can leave comments and upload files. So it's really all very transparent and made easy for the HR and the employees. And lastly, in core HR, just quickly touching on the reports. So reporting is also a part where I get a lot of feedback from HR because I have these meetings, and their main concern is also like we have all the reporting in Excel. So that's something that really takes a lot of time, having a lot of Excels that need to be manually updated all the time. So this is also somewhere where we try to automate things, because all these reports are pre-created, and if we open on, you already see all the data that's already in the company, and the report just gathers all the data, and then you can filter. All the reports can be filtered by date ranges, position, departments, level, locations, and then some specific filters depending on the report. And then you can see, for example, at turnover report, right? You see total turnover within this date range, average monthly turnover, average tenure in the company, reasons why people leave a company, types of leave, and so on. And there is also a bunch of other reports that can be found here. And that's in short about core HR. And I know it might look, especially with the workflows, maybe it might look a bit complicated, but the thing is that what Vicky said before during her presentation, that you don't need to automate chaos in the system. So you need to have an audit. And when you have this audit and you want to recreate or try, create something new in the platform, you get feedback and support from our onboarding managers. So you don't do it alone. It's not like the company pays and we wish you good luck. It's a work in progress. Companies get assigned an onboarding manager, and then there is meetings, there is guidance, there is articles. So there is always going to be support for creating the platform and seeing in a way that helps you the most. All right, so let's move quickly. We're just gonna take a quick look on recruit and performance, and then we're going to have the Q&As and finish the webinar. So for a recruitment, what we usually see is also that companies don't have a place where they keep all the candidates, their CVs, where they manage the pipelines, and so on. In the recruitment here, you can create different vacancies based on your needs. When you create the vacancy, you insert here all the details about the vacancy, details, pipelines, you select pipeline that you want to use. Pipeline is basically the steps that you have within the hiring process. Here we have 5 steps. You can create your own pipeline with as many steps as needed, and you can call them whatever you want or whatever fits your needs the best. And also within pipelines, within steps, you can have automation, like automatically sending an email from a template, like automatically assign a tag. So there is some automation that will happen automatically. If someone applies, they receive an automated email. If someone is refused, again, they receive email. You can see here all the qualified leads, not leads, candidates. You can move them from a step to another step. You can see who is disqualified. And if we open a candidate profile, you see all the data about the candidates, like all the fields. You can create new fields if you want to, and then populate them and filter on them afterwards. You can see if this candidate applied before to your company. You see which position they applied to, why they were disqualified, if it's with red, or where they stopped at which step. You can see notes, previous notes from everyone who already left something about this candidate. Here you manage interviews, also tasks related to this candidate, e-communication, also using templates, and there is also scorecards, tests, documents related to this candidate, and then also offers. You can send offers. Again, using templates, if you have positions that are always open, it's easy to create a template and then just have it filled with data by substituting the variables. And lastly, you can see if they have signed and accepted it. And for the recruitment, we also have reports and reporting for each vacancy funnel, for which pipeline, different pipeline funnels, and you will be able to see all these reports. So this is in quick about recruitment. We also have campaigns where you can multi-post jobs to different social medias and portals, and then you will also get a career site. For example, this is our own career site of PeopleForce, but you can it's edit. You can edit it. You can have your own logo, your own employee branding, photos, and so on. And this is how approximately it's going to look. And people can finish the application through your career site provided by PeopleForce. All right. So maybe there are any questions regarding this recruitment module? Let me just quickly check in Zoom. Okay, so I think there is no questions regarding recruitment. All right, then let's just finish off with a quick look into the performance module. Performance is quite an extensive module where we have one-on-one meetings, where we have objectives, feedback, kudos, where we can manage KPIs, reviews, and development plans. Let's just quickly touch on a few things. So one-on-one meetings, how they look. They have talking points that you can mark as completed. The employee has access to them as well, so that they can prepare. Then you can have action items, which is a task that came up as a result of a discussion that has to be completed before next one-on-one, that can be created as for the employee, as for manager. And here you can leave comments and notes. And also the platform is integratable with all the online meeting tools for interviews, for one-on-ones, and so on. And a link with a booked timing calendar is going to be generated automatically. And if we look at the objectives, which is one of the things that company very often ask about. So how do you track the performance of the employees? Well, one interesting idea is also that objectives often come up during the interviews, but if they aren't tracked and managing, they quickly lose meaning because no one is tracking them, right? And a platform, yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, and exactly. So that's why a platform that can actively manage its objectives ensures alignment between the employee and the company's long-term strategy. And this is why it's important, because you don't want just some objectives that is going to benefit the employee. You want to see how these objectives fits in the long-term strategy of a company, so that all assigned objectives lead to the development of a company. And for this reason, we have developed objectives and key results within the company. And how they work is that they can be created on different levels for the company based on location, department, division, and so on. And when you create an objective, let's just open one as an example. This is a department objective that's assigned to the owner. Usually it's the manager of the department. And then we have different key results in which we measure this objective. So how do we measure the completion of these objectives? For that, we have key results. And key results are usually created and measured in percentages, numbers, currency, or as a task completed or not. And here, each key result can be assigned to someone within the department. And then you can see, you can set where you start, what's your target, and then you can update the progress, and everyone can update their progress depending on the key result, and see also on the graph where you should be today and where you're at actually, and based on that you can also mark if you're on track, behind, or at risk. And if some key results are more important than others, then you can change weights so that it will influence the achievement more of the completion. So that's just in short, and let's then finish off with the performance reviews, which is also a highly asked functionality. In PeopleForce, you can have performance reviews 180, 360. It depends on how many categories you include in the review itself. And if we open a candidate profile to see the answers he got in this example, in this example, it is based on the competencies. Usually that's a way to do it, to create the performance review based on competency. These competencies are not fixed. You can create your own ones. You can add anything you would like to as a competency, and then have a question that rates this competency. So that's the competency that we've added. That's the question that it is asked to this category of people that take part. So in this case, it's a manager, and this is the scale we rate it on. But here, everything is extremely flexible. You can write any question, you can create any competency, and then you can have your own scale. It doesn't have to be from 1 to 5. It doesn't have to be advanced and advanced. It can be from 1 to 7, 1 to 3, and then each step of a scale, you decide what it means and where it fits within the assessment. And then, of course, you also have the answers as an example here, how the manager assessed the employee on this competency, how the employee assessed himself, how other categories assess the employee. And then you have the gap. Gap is the difference between the employee's own assessment and the average of all other categories together. So if the gap is big, it means there is a discrepancy between what the employee thinks about himself regarding a competency and what all other people think about him as well. And the good thing also here is that we have, you can use different templates with different questions for different categories. So for example, for the manager, we want them to assess some skills and some specific competencies of their employee. And maybe for the upwards, so the people that respond to this person, he's a manager of these people, we want them to ask different questions and to assess this person on different competencies. And that's why for all the categories that you add to the review, you can have their own questions, assessing their own competencies and so on. And then you decide if the feedback is going to be shared anonymously or not for each category separately. So that's in short. There is a lot of other ways to create the review cycle as well, but we can always, if someone is interested, we can always have a meeting separately and discuss about it. And yeah, that's about it on what I wanted to show within the platform. There is also a few modules we didn't touch on. I quickly spoke about them in the beginning, but if someone is interested and wants to know more, just let me know. We can always have a separate meeting. And just to finish off, let's just go to the presentation. So Q&A, right? That's where we are at. Okay, screen sharing has stopped. There is a question.
Mhm.
Okay, what's the first
Yeah.
process you'd recommend automating in a small or mid-sized company? Well, basically, if you get such a tool, then the first thing that will be automated is the managing of the employee data. So because you need to keep it somewhere, you need to have a way to keep track of the changes of the employee data. So if it's a small company or a mid-sized company, that's the first thing you would start with, because that's the base. That's the base where you start, and then from there you can go to the other things, to the automation of the PTOs, of the requests from the person, of the documents, and it will not really happen just in as a one thing. You will probably just have you'll have this whole ensemble of things you will automate, and then reporting is also something that's really going to help you within such a platform.
I would also add here that while I find out like documentation very like overwhelming and it takes time, maybe we should also start with an audit first, like see like the whole process and see what takes most of the time, because like why go into like automating recruitment maybe when you're a small company and you, I don't know, you have free positions per year. Maybe it's not, relevant to invest. So that's why you need like to go for the whole employee experience, see where the time goes. And after that, look for the tool. And yeah, most probably there is the documentation. And it's really nice that when you have, like, as I mentioned, an efficient ecosystem, so you can start with one feature, that you need. And after that, once the company scales and becomes relevant, the performance review and so on, you can add more feature. And there is the system there are, so which is really nice. You don't need to switch again apps and platforms.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually something I didn't say about, but if the company doesn't need the whole bunch of modules or some specific functionality, it usually they can just start with core HR for the admin part, and then the need arises, you can always extend with another module if you would like to. So that's how it works, and it's easy for the companies because it combines their specific necessities.
Yeah, and it is sustainable, to start with what you need. And after that, once the company grows, you also expand the features.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So, Vicky, do you have any more questions in the chat? Because when I try to look the presentation stuff.
No, no, we don't have. We have just comments, but questions, not really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. All right. Well, I guess that was it then. Here is a few QR codes if you want to learn more about PeopleForce, if you want to go straight to booking a call with me, or if you want to write Vicky and get in touch, there is also a QR code. So I thank everyone who attended today's meeting. And also, Vicky, thank you for your presentation. It was very insightful and very nice. And I'm looking forward to other such events where we can meet and have this friendly, open discussions that can be useful for people and within our community.
Yes. Thank you once again for the opportunity, for connecting with people from the HR community. And let's connect for sure, like via LinkedIn, and discuss and see how we can find solutions. And thanks again for presenting PeopleForce, because I already had like some time ago presentation. And as I mentioned, I really like the design and it's very friendly, and I find a lot of features very useful, because I remember we're covering those processes, but it's Excel. And here everything is so streamlined and so nicely and in one place. It's really nice, the digital experience.
We're trying to make all the best for our HR professionals. We also have more than 1,300 clients who always give us feedback. So we're continuously improving and various updates practically every month.
Yes, and as I know, compared with other platforms, similar platforms, because I know from European entrepreneurs, it's in terms of price, it's also more affordable. But of course, if you go in deep, this is like private discussion again with Alexander if you're really interested. But if we compare, it's more affordable if you look to digitalize, the employee experience.
Yeah, that's true. We're very price competitive, and the pricing is actually transparent on our website. If you go, you can see how much everything costs. So we compete on that very well, and we also have a lot of functionality that is above of what some competitors offer. And also a nice thing is the support, which is with live people within our European hours. So that's great.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Then thank you everyone who joined. I wish everyone a nice day ahead. Yeah, a lovely day, and hope we can meet another time at such events.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.